gentlemen, hello and welcome once again to Bell to Bells, your women's wrestling wire. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and here we are again with another interview. Someone who's been around the block. We're not talking to some, baby who just popped into the business. No, someone who has been through it all, who's seen a couple of eras. I mean, let's not exaggerate. A couple of eras of wrestling at the same time. My pleasure to have her with us today, giving us some time to chat here. Angelina Love. Angelina, hello. Welcome to Bell to Bells.
Thank you for having me. I like how you have like that wrestler in you where like the camera turns on and the microphone turns on and you're like, here I am in my character and I'm all, you know what I mean? Like it's a very performance type thing.
No, but I'm glad you pointed that out because behind the scenes, I'm very low key. I have to turn up the microphone sound, and I barely talk. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad my performance is coming through.
Well, I actually had when I was in TNA, this was years ago. So I don't like getting worked up and stressed out. A lot of people get anxious and stuff before doing their matches.
Sure.
I shut down completely.
Okay.
Before I go through the curtain because like I just like to be in my head and have the match and know what I have to do. And then as soon as I don't like getting stressed out and anxious.
Okay.
So it just throws my whole chi off. So I'm just like, I just kind of like shut down emotionally. And then I go out there. And I mean, obviously, if you've watched me at all, I'm like very animated and very character driven. So
Yes.
it's like, one of the guys backstage was like, you don't really seem like anything bothers you too much or you don't get, and I'm like, no, I don't like getting worked up.
You prefer to visualize.
I do
Is
not
that what
get
you
worked
do?
up.
You visualize what's about to happen. Is that your technique?
Yeah. So just I have the weirdest way. This is probably the first time I've ever mentioned this. I like to get in a box before I go out there and just know, because I'm always the heel. I'm always pretty much the leader. So I like to have everything down within myself.
Okay.
So when I need to lead, I'm like 100%.
Gotcha.
So I like to barricade myself in a bathroom stall just because it's like a small block of metal walls around me.
Okay.
And just thoroughly go through everything mistake-free one time. And then I'm like, I'm good. And then I'm ready to go.
So when you say I put myself in a box, like it's kind of a literal box, what you're doing. It's not just like figuratively speaking. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Angelina, you've talking about already your time back in TNA. Look, you've been around for 19 years.
21.
21?
Yeah, August 2000 was my first show.
2000? Really? Okay. Well, see, even on top of that, so 2 decades, over 2 decades in the business.
Just over 2 decades, yeah. So more than half my life, I've been in the wrestling business.
Oh, there for those of you who were keeping score, trying to figure out the math. Angelina did it for you.
Oh, Velvet and I proudly both turned 40 this year, so.
Well, there you go. So I'm well advanced into the 40s. Welcome aboard.
Like as long as we don't look at it, it's fine.
Or act it, feel it. That's what's important. And look, now I feel like all my stats are going to correct them. You're a 6-time Knockouts champion. Right. Okay. At least yes. I got that right. You're a former Knockouts tag champion as well. And you're still involved in the business today over at Ring of Honor. But listen, what I want to know to begin with, if we're going back in time, when you were first approached regarding the Knockouts division back in TNA, what was the vision or the pitch, however you want to see it? How was it given to you?
Well, I had just been released from WWE, so I was just like devastated. And like a lot of the people, like there was only like a 5-month gap between me being released from WWE and starting in TNA.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I thought my life was over. I was like 25 and I was like, oh my God. Because I just always saw, you think you get hired and you're set for life. And that is just not how it goes. So it was basically like, I knew a lot of people in TNA because like TNA, before I got hired by WWE, I was driving down with like the Toronto guys. We were doing the 12 hours down to Nashville. So like everybody that was like in TNA, I had already met a few times and spent time with at some point.
Okay.
And, Scott D'Amore was there. I worked for BCW when I was 20. Terry Taylor, I met him when I was 19 at BCW. I was like backstage interviewing. He told me how to hold a microphone properly and not get it in front of people's faces and hold it in front of mine and all that kind of stuff. So when they contacted me. Plus, Gail and Tracy were there. We all trained together in Toronto.
Right.
So Chris Sabin was there. I did BCW with him. Like there were so many people. Like it was like there were so many people there that I already knew. So it was a very comfortable thing to go into. I just had it was very emotionally upsetting for me getting released from WWE and then trying to get past that, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So basically, like with the knockouts division, it was just like something that they were gonna try.
mm-hmm. Okay.
And it was like, let's try it, and it's either gonna sink or it's gonna swim.
And apparently it swam, but
It swam upstream Niagara Falls and got to the top safely. It
no
was
kidding.
we swam well.
But you guys, I mean, this didn't happen just by happenstance. There was a lot of work put in. Was there a lot of personal investment by all the women who were
So, like I
involved?
said, Gail and Tracy were already there. I think Jackie was there too. So they had some involvement with women in matches, and they just wanted to expand on that. So
Sure.
they brought in. I think I was one of maybe 7 or 8 new girls. It was like a whole new division at one time, which you never see happen ever. Where
Mm-hmm.
like 8 new girls are just brought into a company, and it's like
Boom.
here's
Yeah.
your new women's division, you know? But a lot of us were, I came from WWE. A lot of us were very accomplished indie girls and, whatever. So it was just like, let's try it. We did the gauntlet, which I think was the perfect first way to introduce a bunch of girls. Plus, Gail won the title that night. So they got a introduction of a whole bunch of new girls, plus a new champion all in one night. I thought that worked really well.
Yep.
It was beyond exciting. And yeah, I mean, everything just
It just
flowed
clicked.
and yeah, totally.
Cool. And so, how well did you know Velvet Sky when you guys got paired up to become the Beautiful People?
Well, we paired ourselves up. Just want
Well,
to put
there
that out
you
there.
go. See that already? That's there. That's part of the question answered right there.
So her and I did WEW together in
Okay.
Philly.
Okay.
It was that right before? Yeah, that was right before I got hired by WWE. So yeah, that was like '04, like mid '04. And she's from Connecticut, so that was like just a drive for her to get to Philly. So we had just like met each other. I only did 2 shows because they were insane. I was like, I'm not doing any more of these. So we had met each other a couple of times. And
Sure.
then when I was in Deep South, she came down for like a 5 day. She did like the week-long tryout. So then she was there then. And then when I got released, her and I were both booked on an indie or two together in like the summer of '07,
So
which
between
was kind of around the time that we were both contacted to start with TNA soon thereafter.
gotcha.
So
Hmm.
yeah. So going into like a company where like I knew some people, but it was like, backstage TV, like there's some new people, but very busy environment, whatever. Her and I just kind of like stuck together.
So it just happened
And
naturally. It was like,
oh yeah.
so did you like go to whoever was in charge, creative, whatever you want to call it, and say, we want to be a thing, we want to be a duo? Was
Yeah,
that
so there was a lot of work that went into like all of us new girls coming in. Like JB would always be emailing us like, "Hey, what bands do you like? What's your favorite type of music? Like we need to make entrance music." So the Beautiful People, what became the Beautiful People entrance music, which is called Angel on My Shoulder, was my initial singles music. That and they came up with that from me telling them that I liked Korn, 3 Days Grace, Linkin Park, that kind of stuff. So
sure?
that's how they kind of came up with like that rock vibe.
All right.
And then Velvet had her own music, which once she came with me and my music became the Beautiful People music, her entrance music then became ODB's entrance music. And that was her entrance music like the whole
Really?
time she was in TNA. So there was just a lot of emails. So with the music, and then, they were like, they had us paired up in rooms, like we were sharing hotel rooms. So they were like, oh, like me and Velvet know each other. So then we were rooming together. So we would eat together after the shows. We were working together all day, blah, 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 blah. So we were spending all the time together there.
All right. So the chemistry was very natural then, and just everything sort of
Yeah.
just fell into place. That's fantastic. Of course, during your time in TNA, you worked with Daphne during the whole governor thing. Daphne tragically is unfortunately no longer with us. Do you have any memories of working with Daphne? It's we all remember the governor angle. Do you have anything you'd like?
Oh
Any
yeah.
fond
I mean,
memories?
like her and I had a plenty of time outside of the ring too. So this was not just like a wrestling thing with her and I. But yeah, that was really fun. I think she did it perfectly. The
Oh
accent,
yeah.
the way it sounded just like Sarah Palin. We just all had so much fun. Like we were rocking and rolling and the beautiful people. Kip like knew she wasn't the governor. We were the only ones that didn't know. And just everything that we did for that whole thing was so fun. And then she got to be able to transition into her scream queen and like truly be herself. And she was just so happy to be there and be working. And, it was a really good environment in our locker room. And then we all lived in Florida. So like I was always seeing her at our friend's Lexi's house and we would, go out to dinner together. We did a Shine calendar shoot. We did Shine shows together in Ybor City and Tampa. We did a calendar shoot. The photo that I did for the shoot, I shot in her apartment and she put the rose petals on me and taped them up. So it was like, yeah, it was very, very fun. And I wrestled her a few times when she did the Scream Queen thing too. So it's fun when you get to wrestle your friends on national television and make money and all that kind of stuff. It's easy.
And make money on that. But yeah, I hear that a lot, especially these days, where a lot of women that I speak to say, it's fun to be able to wrestle people, wrestle your friends. There's something magical about that. Who was your favorite opponent back in your TNA Impact days?
I'm just going to let you know I suck at the favorite games. I don't have one answer for any favorite anything, unless you ask me who my favorite person is, and that's my son. But so I'm really bad at the favorites game.
Okay.
But
we can do an honorable mention.
Yeah, Kong was one of my faves. I mean, like she was so intimidating to work at first when I didn't know her. Like I was terrified. But she's like one of my closest friends in real life. And like we were married on the road, like together for house shows. Like it was just like so fun. I love her so much. Like she just became so fun to work. And I would pick her up and we would drive together to Universal Studios and I'd drive her home and drop her off and then go back to my condo, all that kind of stuff. So we have a lot, and she sends my son birthday presents and stuff like that. So yeah. And like Gail, like we trained together. So like, being able to work with each other was just, it was really easy.
Like you said.
It was really easy. Taylor Wilde, we trained together as well. She came in a little bit later. We were also in Deep South together, and then we were working in TNA together. So it was like, yeah, it was really fun.
Like you said, we're wrestling your friends. That's what it is. There you go.
Yeah, you can't complain. Like you get to travel the world with your friends and do your work with your friends and make money with your friends, and everybody's on TV and happy, and it's like the best.
Terrible. Can't imagine it. Since you started like we said, about over 2 decades ago that you've been in the business. You've seen a lot of transformations nonetheless, I'm sure, in regards to how women wrestling is presented. Talking again to a lot of women in the industry, they have it. There's a common accord that the women have to work always a little harder than the dudes to get pretty much the same thing. That's always been something that has happened. Do you feel that that's still something that persists today, or has it gotten better, or is it?
I mean, not in my own experience. I mean, I don't have any complaints, like I'm not sitting here like, like feminism, everything. Like, I mean, like I was able to make it in a male dominated business, you know what I mean? And I was always given fair chances. And what was really cool about like we were getting the highest rated segments on the show when we were on Spike TV, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Like the knockouts were consistently drawing the highest ratings every single week. And like, none of the guys were jealous. And if they were, I mean, none of us knew about it. Like all the guys were so supportive, like from the bottom to the top, like helping us out and just being like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, but like, that's awesome. Like we would have Kurt Angle pulling us aside and Sting pulled us aside one time. And we all just were like, and just all the guys, like, so there, we were getting the highest rated segments on Spike TV at the height of Spike TV. And it was just like nothing but support. And Vince always gave us the ball and let us run with it. Okay. And if you ever watched, TNA Impact, during the Vince Russo days, like you would always see 10 girls on a show,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was a 6 girl tag or a 10 girl gauntlet, or two singles matches, and then like me and Velvet would be backstage in our thrones doing a Beautiful People segment, or paper bagging Christy Hemme or stuff. There was always ways to find to put all the women on the show. So we were always, I feel, very fairly treated,
Okay.
while Vince Russo was in his writer's position.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the present a little bit now, since we've enough dwelling in the past. You're working with Ring of Honor these days for a few years now, actually, and you seem to have made your home there, right? And there's a new women's division that's budding right now. You can feel that Ring of Honor believes in it quite a bit. What kind of? I know you've wrestled, right? But does your role within the women's division, is it a little bigger than just talent? Do you like mentor maybe some of the younger talent? Tell me about how you fit into this picture.
Yeah, I just, like I said, when I'm done physically competing, I want to have like a backstage role.
Okay.
Being like a producer or an agent. So I have agented some women's matches
Okay.
backstage. So while I'm still performing, I want to like learn the ropes, to ease like a transition into like a backstage role. Because, I feel like I have so much to give to future generations of female wrestlers, because I've been doing it for so long, and I'm only 40, and I've had 15 years TV experience, WWE, TNA, traveling the world. I have a lot to give.
Sure.
As far as like every aspect, whether it's wrestling, whether it's promos, whether it's character work, whether it's locker room etiquette, I don't know, like anything, you know what I mean? So like I feel like the girls know, like if they have any questions, they can come to me, and like whatever. I give off that vibe, like here to help, know a thing or two.
And that's
you
good.
Can come to me.
Well, and that's good. That's it's essential. From all the stories that you hear about locker rooms, I think that's a super important role to have. But here's something maybe that doesn't happen all that often, that I don't at least have the chance to ask someone. Like, you've been around for both the beginning of the Knockouts title and this reincarnation, right, of the ROH women's title. What have you learned about successfully launching a new women's championship?
You just have to make it a focal point and keep it a focal point. You know what I mean? It's not something, it's not like a relationship where the first 3 months are like the lusty phase. And then after that, it's like everybody, kind of just is kind of like, it just fizzles out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sure. It's like, it's very important for the company to promote and make that a big deal. And as well as the actual performers like us in the women's division, we have to always be putting content up on our socials and pushing this. And when we do outside appearances like this weekend, Baltimore Celeb Fest, me and Velvet and Mandy were there. And it's just like getting stuff out there and always showing people, like I'm constantly out representing Ring of Honor. You know what I mean? Like at an indie or at a signing or at an appearance, did Legends of the Ring 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? So it's like you always have, because that's marketing yourself too.
Sure.
It's like just all works together. It's like, it's good for me. It's good for Ring of Honor. It's good for everything. So it's got to be something that is like continually and properly worked on and pushed, and not just like, oh, it was fun while it started, but it's kind of boring now, so we're just gonna like put it to the side a little bit. Like, you can't do that.
The investment,
because you have to show you care. If you don't show
Sure.
that you care, why would the fans care?
There you go. That's
Yeah.
That's something I discuss quite frequently with other fans. Like, the investment has to be there. It's one thing to put a nice shiny thing on a strap of leather, but if you don't make it feel like it's worthwhile, there's no investment in it from the audience, for sure. How invested are you in the women's division right now? Here, let me precise that question. How do you feel about the talent right now in ROH?
I think we went about getting new girls in the right way. So obviously 2020 threw everybody off, threw the whole
Sure.
entire world off.
Of course.
So, like 2019 going into 2020, we were just like doing the thing, and then it was like 2020 happened and everything got thrown up in the air for everybody. And then it was like, we didn't even really have like half of our girls that were like supposed to be in the tournament that was supposed to happen in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
they're still stuck in Europe and Australia. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yep.
we have to find girls here. And it's like so many girls here are in Impact or in WWE or NXT or AEW, bringing everybody in. So I think the way that we went about it, doing the tournament, and from our tapings January, March, May, we just brought in 4 girls each time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 4 girls, 4 girls, 4 girls. Like that's literally the only way, but still the best way to see who's good. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to test people out before you're just like, you're signed,
Of course.
obviously. Like you have to make sure they're not assholes. You got to make sure that they're actually good in the ring and that they know it. You know, like there's a lot of things that you have to check and see. So it was like 4 girls, not too overwhelming. Let's do some tag matches. Let's do some singles matches. Let's do heel one day, babyface the next day, and just kind of get it done. And then also, you know, we had all these crazy protocols and rules and all the things. So there's a whole bunch of extra things on top of like just doing the job. So I think that just having some girls and then seeing how it goes, and having some girls and seeing how it goes, and then deciding who we wanted from there, I think that was the best way to go about bringing more girls into the division.
And then doing the tapings and the tournament, I think what was also very successful about it is that it got the audience to know who these women are. So when you did decide to pick and actually sign, you know, then they'd be, oh well, we've seen Willow, we've seen Trish, we've seen, you know, so that's
because like people can be doing the indies a lot, but there's you're open to such a broader market once you like are with a company, you know what I mean? Where it's like
it's
an ROH, an AEW, a WWE, or an Impact, something like that. Then it's like you are just like so exposed to so many more people that might not have known who you were before.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I agree.
All the more reason to like be all over your social media and marketing yourself and your matches, the women's division Wednesday on YouTube, and just kind of getting everything out there. So it's just like, look at me, look at me, look at me.
You were in the tournament. You unfortunately lost to Roxy, but Roxy ended up winning the championship. So I mean, it can't feel too bad losing to the girl who became the champ, right?
Well, she did take advantage of an injury, which I don't.
Oh,
that doesn't go lightly.
Okay.
With me. So.
Are you the type to carry a grudge in this type of situation?
Do you know who you're talking to?
So Roxy, as far as a champion. 19 years old, and she has the strap. How do you feel about having such a young woman spearheading the division at this point, regardless of your feelings of what happened during the match?
It's great for her. You know, I'm sure she's like, she's only 19. Like, that's a very overwhelming thing to happen at such a young age. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I got hired by WWE at 23, and that was just like, so like, having that kind of responsibility at 19, that's a very big deal. So I just hope that she really feels like she's ready for it. I guess we'll see.
Do you have any plans to maybe challenge her back at some point?
Of course. She took advantage of an injury. 19-year-old unvet took advantage of an injury. And once again, if you know me, that's not something where I'm just going to be like,
fair play or whatever. No, of course not.
No,
of course not. Again, you're still wrestling. You're a legend of the business. What's next for you? What would be your next big goal as we move forward here?
Well, I do want to obviously win the Ring of Honor Women's Championship.
Sure.
But like I said, I don't know when I'll be like, I don't want to be still doing this when I'm 50. You know what I mean? Like,
fair enough.
Maybe, but I mean, I don't like want to plan on that. But like I said, I want to transition. So I feel like this business will be a part of my life for my whole life in some way or another. So like I said, just because I've been doing this, like I started when I was 18. So just because I've done this for so long and have so much experience, especially with TV, I just feel like I have so much more to give to just to help, mm-hmm. that, like I said, producer, agent, trainer, help with promos, like whatever. I definitely want to transition into kind of like that office kind of backstage role for sure.
Eventually, sure. But
yeah,
you still have more to give. So we'll be excited to see what comes next in the next few years with Ring of Honor.
And just being a wrestler, like you have to know when you're done. Like somebody can't tell you you're done. You have to be done now.
Well, here's something interesting. Okay, since you brought it up, like, recently we've seen documentaries of, older wrestlers, walking us through the difficult process of giving it up, do you feel like you might be in that position, or do you feel you'll be able to have a good cutoff where you'll be like, no, I'm done?
Well, that'll just be completely up to me. And I know me. Like, I don't want to be that person that's like, I'm retiring. And then I come back 6 months later. Like, I don't want to be that person.
Right.
I'll just take time off and just not tell anybody why I'm taking time off. You know what I mean? So I don't feel at all now even close to being done, like the physical aspect of my career. I feel like it'll just have to hit me one day where I just know and feel that I'm done and I'm completely at peace with that and like ready for that next chapter. But that's not right now by any means.
But no, of course not. No. But do you think like you will be the type to cut like cold turkey and be like, yeah, I'm done?
And like I said, I don't know when that'll be. That'll have to be something that I figure out when I know for sure it'll be cold turkey, and I'm not going to be itching in a year to go back. Like I want to be done and have that offer to come back a year later and be like, oh no.
There you go.
Nope, thank you, but no, I'm gonna stay my ass backstage and not bump anymore. Thank you. I want it to be like that. So.
Well, I hope it eventually comes for you then. But whenever it does, we're in no rush. We're still excited to see you.
We're in no rush.
Yeah, no, we're still excited to see you go over in Ring of Honor. Angelina, thank you very much for taking some time to chat with us today. Why don't you let everyone know where they can follow you on social media and make sure they don't miss a thing?
Sure. Twitter at actual Alove. Instagram, Alove, the number 4 life 222. And then cameo.com/Alove, the number 4 life.
There we go.
And then obviously ROHwrestling.com, shophonor.com, our awesome Allure t-shirts, which we love so much. Are on there too.
I was about to say, plug your merch. Fantastic. That's where you find it at ROHwrestling.com. Angelina, thank you again so very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you today.
You as well. Thank you.
And thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and I'll see you next time.